Hey everyone. Welcome to the month of October. We're going to start to shift focus from what we did last month, which was more like a back bend type focus, to lower legs. So that will include hips, knees, the muscles of the lower legs, so calves and the anterior muscles. And that we'll start to look at downward facing dog and how our lower leg muscles affect downward facing dog as we go. And so to start out, a couple props that might be helpful today would be things such as like blocks or two pillows of similar size, because we're going to start out on our backs with our feet together and the knees wide. So recline bound angle. And so you can lay back, and of course props are optional here. You can lay on back, take the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall open, and shrug your shoulders down your back. Slightly tilt your chin in towards your chest just to get a sense of length through the spine. And then you can start to take your one hand to your belly and one hand to your rib cage. And maybe close the eyes if you like. Take a few moments here to let your body settle into this shape. And notice how you feel right now, today. Start to bring your awareness to your breath. See if you can intentionally just breathe in and out through the nose. And maybe see if you can slow that breath down a little bit. Take a little more time to inhale fully. And a little more time to completely exhale. Take a few more rounds of breath here. One more deep breath in and out through the nose. And then we'll lift our feet up, reach the hands forward for the outer edges of the feet. See if the hands can peel around the pinky toe edge of the feet and start to bring the soles of the feet to look at the ceiling and see if you can get the ankles to stack on top of the knees. So you're pulling the knees wide towards the armpits, happy baby. If the hands don't reach the feet, that's okay. You can grab for the outer shins or calves or even behind the knees. See if you can press your low back down, even the base of the pelvis down into the mat. And you can stay static here, or you can start to move side to side. Maybe rocking a little bit side to side. Notice how the tissue at the low back feels. Notice how this feels on the hips, the knees, and the ankles, and all the muscles that surround those joints. And then we're going to keep this right hand in happy baby, right leg in happy baby, and start to extend the left leg long. Stretch it out on to your mat. Let that left heel bone relax down. Let the left leg extend. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And take one more full breath here in your half happy baby. And then we're going to move this into a twist. So left hand's going to reach for outer right knee. You're going to pull that right knee across the body towards the left. Right arm is going to extend off to the right. Okay, so right knee moving towards the left side. You're rolling all the way onto that left hip. Shoulder blades are pressing into the mat. Collarbone is broad. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Start to come back to center. Hug the right knee into the chest. Hug the left knee into the chest. Reach through for the feet, the outer edges of the feet or the outer edges of the calves. Pull your feet wide. Happy baby. Come back into happy baby. And then again, here you can rock a little bit side to side if you like. You can be still if you like. See if you can get your low back pressing down and maybe even a little bit of the base of the pelvis, back of the pelvis. Keeping your left leg in half, happy baby. Extend the right leg forward and down. Let the right heel bone connect with the mat. Half happy baby on the left side, extending through your right leg. Let's take 2 breaths here. And then we'll take this right hand and hook it around the outer left knee, pulling the left knee across the body towards the right. You're rolling all the way onto your right hip. Left arm extends off to the left. See if you can press down through both shoulder blades into the mat as you rotate through the spine. Two deep belly breaths here. And then come all the way back, hugging left knee into the chest, hugging right knee into the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze here. You can wrap both forearms around the shins, reaching for your opposite wrist or elbows or anywhere in between. And now we'll begin to rock the length of the mat.
Something else I can help with?
Jeez, Siri. Sorry about that. Okay, so rocking back and forth on the mat, massaging out the spine. And then we'll come forward into tabletop. Okay, so in tabletop, wrists stack underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and press the floor away. So your hands and your shoulders are really active here, just like you would be in high plank or downward facing dog. You're pressing the floor away. Keep that. Extend the right leg back, tuck the toes under, press back through that right heel. Get a little sensation along the sole of the right foot and the back of the right leg. Take one big breath in here. Big breath out. And then float the right toes off the mat. Extend the left arm forward. Extending forward through those left fingertips and back through that right foot. Keep pressing the floor away with your right palm. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And see if you can bend the right knee now, sole of that right foot towards the ceiling. Sweep back that left hand, maybe grab the ankle. You can also just reach the hand back. The hand and the foot don't have to connect, but if they do, kick the foot into the hand, get a little bit broad across the chest, maybe turn the torso towards your left. So it's almost like you're making a cow-like shape or back bend-like shape through the upper back. Take one more breath in wherever you are. And then re-extend the limbs, left arm forward, right leg back. And then exhale back to tabletop. Extending the left leg back, just switching sides. First, keep the ball mound of the foot in contact with the mat. Stretch back through that heel bone. Feel a little sensation across the sole of the left foot, back of the left leg. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. Now, keeping that length, float the left foot off the mat. Extend the right arm forward. Feel your navel hug into your spine just like you would in high plank. Keep that. And then option, bend that left knee, sweep the right hand back. And you can just literally reach back with the hand without connecting the foot at all. But if the foot is there and the hand can grab the foot, grabbing the inner edge of the ankle, stay active through that foot, kick the foot into the hand, and maybe turn the torso off a little bit to the right. So a little bit of active back bend, keep pressing the floor away with that left palm wherever you are in this shape. One more big breath in. Big breath out. On your inhale, re-extend the left leg and the right arm. Back to tabletop. One last little bit here, still on the hands and knees. Coming back to the right side, extend the right leg back. Left toes turn out to the left side a little bit. It's like a little kickstand. And then we're going to open that right hip towards the ceiling, float the right foot off the mat. So it's like you're in a supported side plank with the right foot off the mat. Deep breath in here. Stay like this, or option, bend the right knee, reach the right hand back, grabbing the outer ankle, and then pressing the pelvis forward. Keep pressing the floor away with that left hand or fingertips. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Now listen up, re-extend that right leg back, right arm towards the ceiling, and then pull that right knee in towards the chest. See if you can set that right foot at the top of the mat. Right foot at the top of the mat, right palm plants inside of that right foot. Extend that left leg back a little bit, so tuck the toes, wiggle that left foot back, and then untuck the toes and just kind of wobble a little bit side to side here. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Let's take one more full breath here. Now let's tuck those back toes, lift the back knee, step your left foot forward outside of the left hand, turning the toes out, heel bone slightly inch inwards, and lower the hips towards the heels. Come into a Malasana squat. And Malasana squat, that range of motion will vary depending on your hips, ankles, and knees. Okay, so I find if your heel bones want to lift up off the ground, that sometimes it's helpful to roll the top edge of your mat over a few times and then set your heel bones down on top of that mat. And then maybe take the feet a little bit wider, toes a little bit wider. And then always you can leave the hips a little bit higher, like they don't have to get all the way back towards the heels. It could be more like a squat, which is equally as valuable. Let's take 2 breaths here in our squat, wherever you are with that range of motion today. Deep breath in, deep breath out. One more breath in. Breath out, lift the hips up, hands down, forward fold at the top of your mat. Turn the toes to face forward. If you're using your mat underneath the heels, you can let it unfurl. And just let your head hang heavy here for a few moments. Breathe into the whole back body. Let's take an inhale and find a halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, step into high plank. High plank, pause, shift forward onto the tippy toes. Engage your quadricep muscles. Keep pressing the floor away with the palms. And then with or without the knees, bend the elbows lower all the way to the belly. Come to the tops of the feet, press the floor away. Inhale for low cobra or upward facing dog. And then set those knees down, come back to tabletop. We'll do all of that again on the second side. So from tabletop, extend that left leg back behind you. Right toes might swivel off to the right side like a little kickstand. Turn that left hip to open towards the ceiling. Left arm reaches high. Left foot floats off the mat. So it's like that supported side plank with the foot off the mat, back foot off the mat. Okay, deep breath in here. Find that length through the limbs on the left side of the body, either staying there or bending that left knee. You can reach back, grab a hold of the outer ankle with the left hand. And then if you've got that bind, kick the foot into the hand, press the floor away with those right fingertips or palm. Deep breath in, press the pelvis forward. Stay here for your breath out. Wherever we are in this range of motion, in this trajectory of this shape, take one more full breath. If you've got the foot in the hand, release that, extend the left leg back, left arm high, and then pull that left knee in towards the chest. See if you can step that left foot all the way to the top of the mat. Left palm plants inside of the left foot. Tuck your back toes, wiggle that right leg back a little bit, so just get a little longer through that right hip and right leg. And then maybe wobble a little bit side to side here. Just get low in the hips, get heavy in the hips. Breathe into this low lunge. And one more full breath here. Now let's tuck those back toes, lift the back knee. Step the right foot forward, outside of the right hand, turning the toes out, heel bones in, lower the hips into your second malasana. And then again, remember you can always make these modifications of rolling the mat underneath the heel bones, taking the feet a little bit wider and turning the toes out, or just staying higher in your seat. Let's take one more full breath in here. And then we'll come into our forward fold, hands down, hips lift, toes turn to point forward, head relaxes. Uttanasana, forward fold. Let's inhale, find a halfway lift. And then exhale, plant the palms, step back into your high plank. Pause in that high plank. Shift forward onto the toes. With or without the knees, lower through chaturanga. Come to the tops of the feet, press down through the palms. Inhale, lift into your back bend. Could be low cobra, could be upward facing dog. And you can choose to set the knees down and shift back to child's pose, or roll over the tops of the feet to downward facing dog. We'll take about 3 breaths, whether you're in child's pose right now or you're in downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, if that's where you are, see if you can pull your toes off the mat. It's like you're flexing your toes towards your shin bones. Get a little bit heavier in the heels. So you're really trying to flex your ankles. So active through the feet, active through the ankle bones. If you're in child's pose, meet us in downward facing dog. And then listen up here. We're going to bend the knees, lift the heels high, press the chest towards the thighs. Option to hop forward into that malasana squat, or 1 foot at a time, step forward, malasana. So feet are wide, toes are turned out, heels are turned in, hips sink low, malasana. Big breath in, big breath out. Put one more breath in here. And then forward fold. Lift the hips up, turn the toes to point forward, relax your head and your upper body over the legs. We're going to move through that flow one more time and then we'll add on. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant those palms. You can step or hop back to high plank. Shift forward onto those toes. Bend the elbows, lowering through your chaturanga with or without the knees, pressing to your back bend, low cobra or upward facing dog. And then choosing what makes sense for your practice today, child's pose or downward facing dog, 3 breaths. See if you can get your breath moving in and out through your nose. If you're in that down dog, think about active through the feet. Lift the toes up, get heavy through the heels, flex those ankles. So it's like you're trying to point the toes towards the shins, press the heels towards the mat. Even if they don't touch the mat, totally fine. If you're in child's pose, meet us in downward facing dog. One more time, we're going to step forward or hop forward to malasana. If you're stepping forward, opposite forward foot forward first. So like if you were stepping forward with left foot, try step forward with the right foot first. Turn the toes out, heel bones in, sink the hips low. Pause here, full breath cycle. forward fold Uttanasana. So lift the hips up, turn the toes to point forward, relax your head and your chest over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, high plank. Option to move through a vinyasa here. You can shift forward onto the toes, lowering through supported or full chaturanga. Find that back bend that works for you. Meet up in downward facing dog, and we'll add on to our flow here. Working just a little bit deeper into the lower legs, into the hips. And give us some options for split variations. We'll do a little bit more prep work first. So from downward facing dog, inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step your right foot forward, left knee to the mat. Half split variation, shift the hips back over that left knee. Extend the right heel forward. Pause here for 2 breaths. Notice where you feel that sensation along the back of the right leg. Pull those right toes towards the shin, just like you did in down dog, if that's what you were practicing with me. And then just rebend the right knee, sole of the right foot flat. Tuck your left toes under, lift your left knee up. And then step that left foot forward like a footprint, and then spin that left foot flat. Angle it so it's about 45 degrees at the back of your mat and reach the arms forward and up, warrior one. So warrior one, right foot forward, left foot back. Big breath here, settle in. Deep bend in that right knee. Now we're going to reposition the feet, so we're coming into warrior two. Heel toe that right foot to the center of the mat. Back foot pivots to parallel with the short edge of the mat. Arms spread wide, warrior two. Big breath in. Big breath out. Press that right leg straight. Pivot the right toes until they're parallel with the left foot. You can choose to extend the arms back behind you, interlacing the fingers to the webbing and reach the knuckles away from the hips. You can also just keep your hands on the waist. As you hinge forward from the hips, forward fold. If you have the hands interlaced, stay active through the hands, reach the knuckles away from the hips, up towards the ceiling, and then eventually over the head. If you have your hands at the waist and you want a little bit of extra support, hands can come down between the feet, underneath the shoulders, like little chaturanga arms. Big breath here. One more time, deep breath in. And then we'll find a halfway lift in our fold. We're going to crawl our way back to the top of the mat. Right foot's still going to be forward, left foot's still going to be back. Come back to your lunge, lower the left knee down. Okay, so here's another variation of your split. Option to just simply shift the hips back, hang out in your half split. Here's where some extra props might come into handy if you want to explore going a little bit further today in your half split. Now I have my hands on blocks on either side of my hips. I'm going to start to let my right heel slide forward. And I like to slide my heel to the upper outer edge of the mat. So I let my leg go a little bit wide. And then I'm going to tuck my back toes under and wiggle my back foot until I can find a little bit of sensation and stretch along the back of the thigh, so left thigh, and right hamstring. And so your variation of this, it might just be like an inch further than you normally go. It might just, you might just stay in your half split, and that's okay. So never forcing, never going beyond kind of a dull, achy stretch, and never going beyond something that you can't maintain a deep, slow breath in. So if you're really gritting your teeth, you're adding a lot of extra tension to your jaw, and you can't fully inhale and exhale, you've gone too far back out. Now, if you're hanging out in this split variation and you want to, you can tuck a prop underneath that right thigh. I like to place mine kind of like squarely underneath the hamstring. And then see if you can sit up a little bit taller. Wherever you are in your split variation, let it be enough today. Take one more breath in. There's really no good way to get out of this if you're in the full splits. So I kind of like to just bring some weight back into my hands, shift my left knee back underneath my hips, slide my props out of the way if I'm using them, start to bring the weight forward into my hands, and then wiggle that right foot back until I can make my way into high plank. From your high plank, option to shift forward and move through a vinyasa. You can always skip that and just rest in child's pose or downward facing dog. We will meet up in downward facing dog. We'll take 2 breaths. We'll do all of that on the second side. Downward facing dog, 1 more breath. From down dog, inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, left foot steps forward. Right knee lowers to the mat. Just find that half split variation, just half split. Slide that left heel bone forward a little bit, shifting the hips back over that right knee. Deep breath in here. You're pulling these left toes towards the shin bone. Good, and then let's rebend the left knee, plant that left foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Spin that right foot flat, 45-degree angle, deep bend in that left knee as you reach the arms forward and up. Warrior 1. So shoulders are facing forward. Hips are attempting to face forward, even though anatomically they're never really going to get squared to the top of the mat. That's okay. Let's position the feet towards warrior 2. So heel toe that left foot to the middle of the mat, and then right foot, pinky toe edge parallel with the back edge of the mat. Arms spread wide. Deep breath in, recommit to your warrior 2 legs. Deep breath out, settle. And then press that left leg straight. Pivot the toes until they're parallel to one another. Arms can interlace or hands can interlace behind you, or hands can stay at the hips. Either way, we're going to hinge forward from the waist, forward fold with the legs wide. Prasarita Padottanasana. 2 breaths here. If you've got your hands interlaced, stay active through the arms, reaching the knuckles up towards the ceiling at first. When the shoulders open up enough, let's start to move over the head towards the floor. That might not ever happen. It's just a general direction that may or may not come to pass. So don't be attached to the outcome if you can. All right, let's come out of our forward fold, halfway lift. We're going to crawl our hands forward to the top of the mat. Back to your lunge. Lower the right knee. Shift the hips back. Find that half split variation first. Acknowledge that right side and left side are often very different, and if you need to stay in your half split variation, please listen to your body. If you want to try inching that left heel a little bit more forward, I recommend taking it at an angle to the upper outer edge of the mat. Okay, and then maybe you gather some props underneath the hands. Maybe you tuck your back toes and inch that right knee back. And so really let go of how far you think you need to go into the shape, how far you, or what you think it should look like, and let your body guide you. Really do not have to look like what I look like. Honor your knees, your hips, your ankles, their limitations, what they're telling you, and listen to your breath here. Let's take 1 more breath. Now, gentle, especially if you're pretty deep into that split variation, as you start to get out of this, a lot of weight into the hands. Okay, and then we'll just simply come back to hands and knees. We're going to turn over onto our backs here. Take one more pass at happy baby before we settle into Shavasana. So lay on down to your back. Reach up for the soles of the feet or the backs of the calves. Maybe rock a little bit side to side. Same way we got into this before, we'll keep that right foot in happy baby, left leg forward and down. And then start to move into your twist. You're pulling the right knee across the body towards the left. You're rolling onto your left hip. 2 breaths in that twist. Hug the right knee back into the chest. Left knee follows. Back to happy baby. Keep the left foot in happy baby. Extend the right leg forward and long. Use that right hand to pull the outer left knee across the body towards the right. You're rolling onto your right hip, but chest stays broad towards the ceiling, left arm reaching off to the left. You're just switching sides in your twist. 2 breaths here. One more time, left knee, hug it back into the chest. Right knee follows. Give yourself a little squeeze. Now lengthen out on our backs for Shavasana. 1 minute if you have the time. I highly recommend staying longer if you can. Settling into your Shavasana as quickly as possible to allow yourself to let it go and let it rest. Just focus on this inhale, this exhale, in and out through the nose. Please feel free to stay in Shavasana longer. If you need to move on with your day, wiggling fingertips and toes, big breath in, stretch the arms overhead. Exhaling, bend the knees, rolling off to a side. Pressing to an upright, comfortable seat, supported if you like. Maybe the eyes stay closed or the gaze stays soft. Continue breathing in and out through the nose as the spine grows tall. And the sits bones settle into your seat. Let's place one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart, bowing the chin into the chest. Acknowledging this is my body, this is my breath. Closing out our practice, acknowledging may you always be okay. May you find a light that guides you and keeps you safe. May you have hope, help, and happiness along the way. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me today. Really appreciate you showing up for practice. I'm sure your body appreciates it too. As always, if you have questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out. My email address is my name, Tessa@tessatovar.com. And I hope you have a wonderful day and come back again soon.